Hello and welcome back to the channel for another Doctor Who collection update for March 2022. As ever, lots of stuff to get through today, a slightly different mix to the last few collection updates I've done, so fewer figures this time round. We've got some DVDs and books and bits and pieces from yesteryear, so without further ado, let's just get straight into it. So as ever, we begin with Doctor Who magazine. Now this month I've actually got quite a few issues of Doctor Who magazine to get through, past and present and various different publications. First of all, of course, we do have the current issue for last month, issue 575, with this lovely Peter Davison cover celebrating 40 years of the Fifth Doctor. Inside we've got various bits and pieces to do with that, including the World Cup of the Fifth Doctor, which Doctor Who magazine ran on Twitter fairly recently, where they basically rank all of the Fifth Doctor era stories according to Twitter users and polls and stuff, and one of my tweets is actually featured in here as part of the coverage about the King's Demons, so that's very fun. But yeah, apart from that, we had the second half of the interview with Matt Strevens, the executive producer on the current era of the show, which is very nice, and just your general mix of articles, comic strips, CGI sets or whatever, some great stuff in there. And of course the most recent issue has just recently come out with a lovely new Sea Devil cover. We'll be covering that next month, of course. Yeah, it's very, very exciting too. Next up, we have the most recent issue of Doctor Who Chronicles, the bookazine series from the makers of Doctor Who magazine, which covers various prominent years in Doctor Who's history, and this, of course, is no exception, based all around 2007 and Series 3. It is such a nostalgic, fantastic read. I came to the show myself in 2008, so just after this, but a lot of the stuff in here and a lot of the merchandise and stuff, for instance, just there off the bat, the Decide Your Destiny books and bits and pieces, the quick reads, there's an article about the figures as well, and somewhere, if I can find, there's like a mad article all about the various different bits and pieces, things like this, the frubes and the clothing, the pajamas, all sorts of wacky merchandise that came out around this time. But yeah, it's a really, really great read. I really love this on-running series of Doctor Who Chronicles bookazines. It's so good. But what's particularly nice about this one is that it is a year, that I was alive for and that I was sort of a fan for, just before my time, obviously. But it's something within living memory that we can all relate to, people my age, which is great. So really nostalgic. If you are a fan, who grew up with the first RTD era and are nostalgic for that era and all the merchandise and stuff that was going on back then, this is an essential read. You must pick it up. It's so good. I just wish it was a bit more easy to find in the shops, a bit more widely available. And that's the one problem I had with this, actually finding it in WH Smith's. I checked loads of WH Smith stores, my area and even beyond as well, while I was out and about, and yeah, they don't seem to have these on the shelves on the release day, which is a shame because they're fantastic publications. I guess it is just because they are sort of extra to the standard issues of Doctor Who magazine. But yeah, in the end I had to resort to buying it from the Panini website direct. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame about the distribution issues there, but that aside, it is a really fantastic publication. This can highly recommend it. And finally, for magazines this month, we have this, The Essential Doctor Who Adventures in the Future. Now, this, of course, is part of the Essential Doctor Who bookazine series, which came out a few years back and sort of ended just as the Whisker era was getting going, really. It's the series that preceded the Doctor Who Chronicles bookazines that continue to this day. And I did get quite a few of those early Essential Doctor Who issues in particular, but I sort of tailed off towards the end when they got into slightly more obscure stuff like this, because basically things like The Complete History were coming out at the same time and I couldn't afford to get everything. And basically the only reason I've got it now is because, like I say, I had to order that issue of Doctor Who Chronicles direct from the Panini website. And just to make it a bit more cost effective in terms of the postage costs and stuff, I thought I'd see if there's anything else available, as well, just to get with it. And I found this, still in stock. I still got some copies of this in stock because it's one of the later issues from the range. So yeah, I haven't got round to reading it yet, unlike the other two magazines we covered today. I probably won't for some time, to be honest, because it's not on my list particularly. But yeah, it's an interesting enough piece, I suppose. Got various articles in here about, Doctor Who episodes set in the future, I think, and sort of the science of those stories, and bits and pieces like that. I haven't really delved into it too much, to be honest, but it looks nice enough, and these bookazines were and are always good quality, as that recent issue of Doctor Who Chronicles has proven. So I might get around to reading this at some point in the future. Nothing else really to say about it until I've done so. But yeah, it is still available on the Panini website, should you wish to go and buy your copy, as are the 2 other magazines I've mentioned today as well. All 3 of those are available, and great magazines they are. And then we also have this, which is something a little bit different. This is the programme or show companion for Doctor Who Time Fracture, the immersive theatre experience based in London, which is currently ongoing and has been going for a few months now, a year maybe, I'm not quite sure. Basically I was in London for the BFI Revelation of the Daleks event about a month or so ago now, and while I was there I just decided on a whim to do Time Fracture, because I'd heard rave reviews from other people that had been, and so I just kind of thought, I might as well go and do it. And of course afterwards I had to buy the programme, because it's a lovely piece of merchandise in its own right, with this lovely lenticular cover, and then inside it's got various articles and bits and pieces from the people responsible for Time Fracture. It's not really fitting into frame, is it, this? But never mind. Different spreads and stuff. I haven't actually read any of this properly yet. I probably will do at some point. But yeah, it is spoilers and stuff, if you haven't been to the show yourself, so I won't show too much of it off. But yeah, a very nice piece to have, and like I say, I'm looking forward to sort of delving into this at some point in the future. I think particularly in years to come, looking back, it'll be a very nice piece to have, once Time Fracture is no longer available to go and see. I also got this poster while I was there as well, which you can't really see properly on camera because it's all rolled up still and I haven't put it up yet, but I think it's basically the main artwork that's on the front of here or in promotional stuff as well, so yeah, there's that too. And I can definitely highly recommend Time Fracture if you haven't been and it's within your means to go and see it. It is very much sort of modern day equivalent, or this era's equivalent of the Doctor Who experience. It's the same sort of thing, but taken to the next level in terms of the immersive aspect of the experience. So yeah, very, very cool. Lots of really great stuff inside to see, lots of monsters and sets and props and bits and pieces. So yeah, by all means, do go and see it if you haven't already. And from something very current, we move on to something very nostalgic. So here in my hands, I have 2 of the original DVD volumes for Series 4 of Doctor Who. Now, of course, back in the day, all of sort of Series 1 to 5 came out in this format on DVD and lastly Blu-ray as well. And you sort of might be thinking to yourself, Richard, why have you gone back to buy these? You have these episodes, on DVD and on Blu-ray Steelbook and whatever else. Why do you need these? Basically, to cut a long story short, I actually only wanted the one on the right here of Volume 3 because it came with an exclusive Top Trumps card of River Song, which I'll show you in just a moment. But in the same bundle, it had Volume 1 as well, so I just thought, I'll bite the bullet and get them. And they're only a couple of quid each, both still sealed in pretty decent condition. But also, just beyond that as well, buying the DVD to get the Top Trumps card, these are awesome pieces of merchandise in their own right. The cover artwork on these DVD volumes is just immense and is so nostalgic. I never actually got that many of them myself, and the 1 or 2 that I did get back in the day, I have actually let go of now, and I might have to go back and get them in years to come. But yeah, these ones, from Series 4, obviously Series 4, my first series, I do remember seeing these covers, on adverts or in Woolworths in the corner of my eye or stuff like that. So they are incredibly nostalgic, and these images are ingrained in my mind. And so for that reason, I wasn't going to say no to buying a couple of DVDs to get hold of an exclusive Top Trumps card, even though I've got the episodes already, because the artwork is just fantastic. And who knows, in years to come, maybe I'll go back and get all of these, because it would be quite nice to have a complete collection of the original volumes. They're all dirt cheap these days, even to buy in the original packaging, they're all dirt cheap. They do take up quite a bit of space, that's the only thing, compared to the steelbooks or whatever, but like I say, they are awesome. So yeah, watch this space, because in months to come, you might be seeing a couple more of these. And here we have the Top Trumps card in question, or actually cards plural, because for some reason there were 2 included in my particular DVD. Don't know why, I don't think that's meant to happen. But yeah, basically then, if you don't know, these Super Top Trumps cards, the way they're called, were included in various DVD volumes back in the day. And there was sort of like bonus exclusive extra cards to go with the main set. This one obviously went with the Series 4 set in the red packaging, which you can see on the back there. And they were just basically like promotional items to encourage you to buy Top Trumps, I suppose. But I'm sort of doing it the other way around now, going back and trying to find all of these Super Top Trumps cards to go with the sets that I've already got. So it's a very niche area of Doctor Who merchandise, but yeah, one I am pursuing, and great to have got the ball rolling with this first card here. I also got this Blu-ray of Series 5 Volume 4, thinking there would be an exclusive Top Trumps card inside, because with this one you could get a Lone Centurion or Rory Williams, basically as a Roman card in some editions, the keyword being some, because yeah, very foolishly I didn't realise that it was only those sticker editions that actually contain that card, and so I bought one of these for a couple of quid, and it came and it didn't have the card inside, unfortunately because it didn't have the sticker on the front. So at some point in the future I'll probably buy this again, or the DVD or whatever, to get hold of that Top Trumps card, because yeah, I would like to have all of those exclusive Top Trumps cards which came in various different DVD volumes. It's a little incentive, you know, to getting these again as well. So yeah, again, watch this space for more of that in the future. On to books now, and this month we just have a single book, the Target novelisation of Survival by Rona Munro, the episode's author. Obviously this is the final story from the original classic run of Doctor Who. Basically, I got this because I saw it in the Who shop in London when I was in London a month or so ago. And I was looking for one or two things, you know, on the cheaper side in the Who shop to buy as souvenirs to take home with me. This is one of them. You'll be seeing another one a little bit later in the video. But yeah, I thought with a Target book, you know, you can't go wrong. It was only like, what, 4 or 5 or 6 quid or something, you know, fairly cheap like that. So fairly inoffensive. And I have actually read it all the way through, just finished reading it fairly recently. It's a fairly faithful novelisation of Survival. There aren't any major additions or omissions or alterations or anything like that. You know, it's fairly true to how this story appeared on screen. So it's not too different an experience, but I guess you do get a bit more insight, you know, with it being the original author as well, into what the story is about, and a whole sort of theme of survival and survival of the fittest and all that sort of stuff. You get a bit more insight, I guess, and a bit more into Rona Munro's head as what she was sort of intending, I guess, with this story in terms of the sort of thematic elements there. So a nice enough read, and if nothing else, it's just nice to have the final story of Classic Who on the shelf in Target form. We also have some big finish this month, which doesn't happen particularly often in these collection updates, I have to say. But yes, this is of course the 4th and final set of Ninth Doctor adventures from the first series, that initial run of 4 box sets. If you don't know, I had these on pre-order. My parents got me them for like my birthday 2 years ago or something, I think. So it's been quite a long time coming, but of course I now have finally got all 4 sets in my possession. Haven't listened to this one yet, but I'm very, very excited to do so after hearing that the Cybermen, of course, are in, well, at least some of these stories, as well as the Brigadier as well, and a chap from Praxius and the Unit box sets, Warren Brown, whatever he's called. But yeah, I mean, I was so excited by that trailer they released on release day with the Cybermen in it, sort of revealing that the Cybermen are in it, because they didn't reveal it in advance. So that was a really nice surprise to find out that they were in this box set, basically, and that we're getting a Ninth Doctor Cyberman finale at long last. And very briefly, the 3 stories in this set are Fond Farewell by David K. Barnes, Way of the Berryman by Roy Gill, and The Fourth Generation, which is also by Roy Gill. I believe those 2 stories are sort of like a 2-parter to close the series off. So yeah, very, very exciting. Haven't listened to them yet, like I say, but very, very much looking forward to doing so. I think I've got a real treat in store for when time allows. And finally, as ever, we have some figures. So, first of all, your eyes do not deceive you. Yes, this is an original First Doctor TARDIS. And no, I did not pay over the odds for it. It's amazing. So basically, one day my mum sent me a listing she'd found on an online charity shop. I won't say which one just to preserve a little bit of mystery around this, but basically it was for a listing for £20 and it contained this and about, I don't know, a dozen other figures or something. Another First Doctor in his cloak and hat, like 3 Cybermen, a Sontaran, a Heavenly Host with a broken wing, 2 Silurian masks, not quite sure why they were there, and also 2 other random figures from Star Trek or something. So it was an absolute steal, the bargain of the century. I mean, you know, for 20 quid, I'd have been quite happy to pay that much for this alone, but to get all those other figures with it as well, I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. So massive thanks to my mum for finding that and sending it my way. Hugely appreciated, and yes, I can't quite believe this is here in my hands in front of me. Then the only other figure I got this month was this Judoon Captain from Series 3, specifically the lighter skin variant, sort of light brown or pink, whatever you want to call it, as opposed to the grey variant, which I did already own. And yeah, I wasn't necessarily too fussed about getting this one, at least not in a hurry. But basically, I had read that issue of Doctor Who Chronicles all about 2007 and Series 3, and I was just really in the mood to go and buy some Series 3 figures. There was just one small problem, namely that I already had basically all of them apart from this. So as soon as I worked that out, I thought, right, I'm going to go and buy this pink-skinned Judoon variant and see what the fuss is about, because I don't think I've actually seen this one in the flesh before. And I have to say, actually, in the flesh, it is really nice. I think it works really well. Because with the grey one, you know, I think the grey and the black sort of blend into each other a bit, whereas with this one, you get a little contrast between the skin and the sort of black armour or uniform, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, pleasantly surprised by this figure, and it now resides pride of place on my Smith & Jones display. The grey one's still there too, with the Stolen Earth stuff like the Daleks and 10th Doctor, works quite nicely there. So yeah, a very nice figure actually, pleasantly surprised by this, and just really nice to go and buy a Series 3 figure again and get all nostalgic. And last but not least for this month, we have this little fella here, a Dapol Time Lord. So this is the other item I got from the Who shop when I was there about a month ago. I believe it might even be a Who shop exclusive or something like that. There are about 4 different Time Lord variants with different coloured robes. And basically this just caught my eye because, like I say, I was trying to find stuff on the cheaper side in the Who shop, which, yeah, was a bit of a challenge. But I got there in the end with that Target book and then this guy as well. It was like 5 quid or something. So, yeah, you can't really go wrong for that. And yeah, I do have a couple of other Dapol figures already, a 7th Doctor and a Mel, and so this goes nicely with them. It's not an area of Doctor Who merchandise I've delved into all that much, but yeah, he's a nice little chappy, this guy with his headdress, and you know, the likeness and stuff on these figures isn't always amazing, but it has a certain charm to it. So yeah, very happy to add this to the collection. So there we have it. Everything added to my Doctor Who collection in March 2022. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video, and as ever, please do let me know in the comments section below which items you've added to your Doctor Who collections in recent weeks and months. And if you like the look of any of the things in front of me, links to anything that is still available will be in the description below. Please give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, and if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And if you want to go one step further, you can find the link to my Patreon page also in the video description. I'll see you again in about a month's time for my next Doctor Who collection update. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.